Hi everyone. Uh, so I promised a new video today or yesterday, but yeah. So here it is. Not much has happened since um last week. Something tragic did, but I'll get to that in a minute. Anyway, we did have some turkeys in the street in our driveway. That was a little bizarre. Turkeys in August. Man. I think there were like 4 or 5 of them, but yeah, I got photos and a video of it on. Or my mom got photos. I got a video of it on Facebook. If you want to see that, I'll include my Facebook link in the description. But man, the reason I'm stuttering so much is because of what happened yesterday. I think most of us know what happened in Virginia. Let me adjust my camera. Sorry. Adjust my camera a little bit. Sorry for the flash. But yeah, everyone knows what happened in Virginia with Vester Flanagan, who called himself Bryce Williams, and the 2 people he killed on air, Allison Parker and Adam Ward, as well as the interviewee who Vester also shot, but who survived. Well, the media has also had some choice areas of interest to focus on in that report. I've learned over various social media sources that mainstream media, well, not just that, I've looked on the news too, that mainstream media has tried to make Vester the bad guy, which, yeah, he killed those people, it's wrong, but he targeted his victims, at least the reporter and the cameraman, for a reason. He had a lot of problems with um, his skin color and his sexual orientation. You should not be judged on those things, especially in 2015, and and especially since the Supreme Court has legalized gay marriage to be legal across the country. But those backwards draconian laws. That's just the country we live in, at least in some parts of the world. It just makes me think what horrible shape our world's in. Like I said, I don't condone what any of these shooters or people like Vester Flanagan do, but the mainstream media does have a pattern of discriminating against certain races even today. You notice if a white shooter kills a black person or black people, they ask you to forgive him because he's white or she's white. Who knows? There may have been a female who did this. It's all men from what I've seen so far, but females could do it too. If they're white, they want you to forgive them. But if they're black, they'll demonize them to the core. If they're white, they'll go into the backstory of the shooter, maybe the victims if they're lucky. But it focuses mostly on the shooter. Now, this isn't necessarily a bad thing, but they don't do the same for black people, which it makes no sense to me. I mean, I grew up in a time where I didn't really understand it. If someone was a different color skin, I didn't treat them any different. I come from a generation that's about, love and peace, especially world peace. I'm not saying we're the only people. No, there's plenty of people in older generations that care about people of color and different sexual orientations too. I'm not saying that we're the only ones. There are people of older generations that care. But people of older generations are oftentimes the ones who understand it better, so they understand the issues a lot more, and some of them sadly teach this discriminant behavior to their kids, and it causes a lot more problems. No matter if a shooter is black, white, Asian, Korean, Japanese, whatever. I'm not trying to be offensive. I'm just saying wherever they're from, whatever skin color they are, whatever sexual orientation they are, they should be treated equally. Which means they should treat Vester the same way. They should ask for forgiveness for him and at least go into his backstory in the right way. They are going into it, but they're going into the aspects that are trying to demonize him. And they want you to feel sorry for the reporters that time, but if it's black people, forgive the shooter. Doesn't bother mainstream media a bit. Look, whatever you do, try and I'm sorry, it's hard for me to comprehend all this, but treat each other fairly and equally. Like I said before, I'm not trying to be offensive about race or sexual orientation. I'm just saying wherever you're from, like I said, whether you're white, black, Asian, Japanese, Korean, Chinese, French, European, African. Again, those are just all of the, I guess, all the ethnic groups I can think of so far, just off the top of my head. But, same with sexual orientations, whether someone's straight, gay, bisexual, transgender, whether they're pansexual, whether they're, I think, quinsexual. I don't know. I forgot what the Q stands for in LGBTQ, but we are standing for those rights. As for rights for every race. But I'm not backing down from what I'm saying. Wherever you're from, whatever color skin you are, it should be that whatever you do, if it's wrong, it's wrong. If it's right, it's right. You should be treated fairly and equally. The punishment should serve the crime, and, like from our office, money should be distributed fairly and justly, but it's not. No. That's mainstream media and a corrupt government talking. I'm not saying take guns away from everybody, but we need to be like Google a little bit. We need to filter. We need to filter who's allowed to own a gun. We need to make it like other countries. We need to make it very difficult for people who aren't in the armed services of our country to get a gun. And with police in our country, we need to evaluate them too. We need to go back to the 70s and 80s with police. You know, at least in most parts of the world where it actually worked, where police were actually fair. In fact, I remember the 90s, 2000s. You know, I remember police was treating you fair, only arresting you if you did something wrong. I mean, where is that? Where is that now? I mean, it's still here. Don't get me wrong. There are still cops that do that. There are still great cops. There are. But I feel like, to me, this particular shooting, you know, it just felt like a wake-up call to me. You know, in some ways, a lot of these shootings are wake-up calls. Adam Lanza made it unsafe for you to go to an elementary school. You know, because he shot up one. You know, families wonder if they can even take their kids anymore to an elementary school. There's the guy from the Dark Knight Rises shooting. I can't remember his name. And there's the man who was in Louisiana. I can't think of his name at the top of my head. But yeah, he was racist. And the guy who did the Dark Knight Rises theater shooting, he simply thought he was the Joker from Batman. He's basically turning into, ironically, the Mad Hatter in real life, which is scary. He shot up a bunch of people too, and it's very tragic. But yeah, the Louisiana shooter, he was racist. Dylan Roof was racist. George Zimmerman was racist. Let's see. Darren Wilson, he was racist. He clarified that in a few statements he recently made about the Ferguson shooting. I also feel bad for Mike Brown's friend who recently got shot in that. An avid gun owner, yes, but was a friend of Mike Brown. My prayers and thoughts go out to him, especially the families who lost lives over corrupt police. I know this video is long, but I'm trying to make a point. And I'm going to. I'm not going to back down. I know I'm breathing a lot, but it's hard for me to wrap my head around this. Man. Let's see, I think I left a few people out. George Zimmerman, he was obviously racist. I think I said that already, but Darren Wilson, yeah, he's racist. Daniel Pantaleo, he was caught on camera. Completely. George Zimmerman, we had an audio tape. You know, we had lots of audio tapes from neighbors calling in on what was going on. And Darren Wilson, we did get video of Mike Brown's body, but not after what happened. What I'm saying here is these are sensitive topics. Very sensitive topics. But they're issues that have to be addressed. It's just... Let's see. I think I've made my point, but... Yeah, it's just... Take away guns from the mentally insane people. Make it harder, like in other countries, make it harder to get a gun. At least for those who aren't in armed services. Especially for those in armed services, I'm sorry. all this killing, all this corruption, all this racism, sexism, it's got to stop. I'm not for that. I'm not for any crimes either that these mental people commit. But it's also the government's fault for failing to monitor this and for saying, oh, you can't take our guns away. These are our guns. We're #1 in America. Yeah, is that something to really be proud of? To be proud for owning the most guns in America by almost a 20 million margin compared to the country in second place? 22 million, I'm sorry. We own more guns. I mean, what goes on in this country is just horrible, it's sickening, and the government's handling of it is just disastrous. Completely disastrous. I don't get it. Why do we still have bigotry in 2015? Why? Turn up the brightness. I really don't have much else to say. I guess all I can say is what I said at a couple other points in this video. Treat each other how you'd want to be treated. Treat each other fairly and equally. Love. Peace. That's what we're striving for. Especially people in my generation. We're really striving for that. The public is sick and tired of all this happening. We want justice. We want fairness. We want those who commit the crimes to be thrown in jail. This is just... I used to believe in our country, and I still do. We've got a lot of work to make. We got a lot of work to do, a lot of progress to make if we're going to get it back to the way it once was. A very peaceful nation. I think we were actually there at some point. Sticking up there. But yeah. We actually were there at some point, and it's just sad to see it all go downhill. In general. Some places are doing a great job of keeping their cities safe. I'm not denying that, but overall, this country's just a complete mess. And the government's making a lot of us clean it up. Now, these videos of police brutality that you've seen of people getting killed, it is sick, yeah. But at least we're exposing the corrupt for killing innocent people. And even if they are committing crimes, I mean, they're minor offenses that does not justify killing them. You know, give them a fine, a small fine, or lock them in jail for a few hours or a few days if, you know, that you feel they're being rowdy, I guess. But don't kill them. Police are all militarized now. They're so trigger happy. If the police weren't like a military and it was back to the way it was back when a lot of us younger adults were kids, even how some of my generation's parents were kids, then this wouldn't be happening. At least in the police stations. I mean, look, the government's been pulling some sketchy crap for centuries. Yeah. But only now is it becoming more obvious and more dangerous and more ridiculous. I know I said at another point I had nothing else to say, but I guess more came to mind, but here's how I'm going to end this video. Like I said earlier, treat others how you want to be treated. Strive for love and peace in your communities and towards treating other people. Use love, kindness, caring, and just be a good person. This was, harder for me to make than I first thought. But, this shooting, of course a lot of other shootings too, they made me realize how bad a shape our country is truly in. I apologize for making this nearly a 22-minute video, but I do thank you for watching. I'm not going to post it on Facebook, I'm going to keep it on YouTube. Just because of the sensitive topics in this video. So, again, thank you for watching. You all have a good day.